We're live, baby. We are. Yeah, we're back. I was delaying to see if Tyler would look at me like I was all funny. Like, what are you doing, fool? I said we're live. And and there's Todd, the rookie, first time ever with his phone volume up.
I thought I had it down.
I was in the office killing the feed just playing.
Jeff was playing games with us in the other office. But
Thanks,
yeah,
Jeff.
It is take two. I actually went ahead and deleted the other video off of LTF in order to make sure people don't accidentally go in there and watch it and then say, hey, there's no video on this thing. And it only lasted 3 seconds or 3 minutes or whatever it was. But, yeah, this is take two. I'm pretty sure Tyler accidentally ended the first video.
Whatever you say. But we're back. We're back and going now, and that's what's important.
Well, if it mysteriously just ends by itself this time, then we know there's a technical difficulty. But hope the sound's good. Hope everything's rocking and rolling. Tyler actually took a screenshot of our soundboard last time we were in here, and he said, I'll know for a fact if those settings are exactly the same as they were last time when they were flowing nice and smooth and crisp and clear. So we do. That's not Thrift sitting over here next to me. That is our buddy, Mr. Todd Gobe, MPFL angler and owner of Pulse Fish. All right. Well, I say Pulse Fish for a reason. We can explain that in a minute. Most people already know. But we want to start off by saying everybody knows Let's Talk Fish is presented by Angler's Choice Marine. We went by Angler's Choice Marine today. Actually shot some pretty cool content. We may not talk about that tonight, but we'll talk about it later on. Everybody will hear about it soon enough. But that being said, big shout out to Angler's Choice Marine. Everybody knows they have 3 locations. All right, 3 locations. They got the mothership up in Martinsville, Virginia. All right. They are in Lexington, North Carolina, and they're in Spindale, North Carolina, which is the closest one to home here for me. And they're a big, huge Ranger Triton dealer. They've been like top Ranger and Triton dealer multiple years out of the past 5 or 6 years in the U.S. They obviously sell nitros, all the White River Marine brands. But if you're in the market for a boat, I've told everybody this, a couple things you can do. You can go online and search their online inventory, what they've got left. As far as 24 models, I know they've got some huge discounts on them, huge discounts. They're getting a few 25s to start rolling in now. Lots of different brand new Rangers. I've seen some with my own eyes today. There was actually one up there in Spindale that was a unique color. What would you call that? It's not like Tennessee orange.
No, it was Harley Davidson orange.
It was. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So if you're big into Harley Davidsons and you like that black and orange combination, you need to check out this boat up in Spindale, North Carolina. It's a brand new Ranger Z520R. I think it's a 2025 model, actually.
It was, and it had black powder coated rims too. It was really
on the trailer.
It was a different color, but it was a really good looking boat. Like you said, you know, if 10 people walked in, 9 out of 10 may not like it, but that 10th one that walked in would probably buy it on the spot.
It's a love-hate thing. It's like the guys that have purple bass boats.
Yeah.
Like, I would never personally want a purple bass boat. No offense to anybody that does, but there's some guys out there that's all they want. You know, so to each their own. But they're actually they've actually got that beautiful boat sitting there in the showroom, and it's actually I kind of like it. I mean, I've never really seen one that exact color, but I kind of liked it.
I did too.
And the black rims look really sweet on it.
Yeah,
my 2025 is actually going to have those black rims on it. And another thing, I'm just going to throw this out there. So the guy who was supposed to purchase my boat, my 2024 Ranger, actually backed out. This has been about a month ago or so. I've got one little deal to do with that boat here in a couple weeks, and then it's available. If anybody is interested in my Ranger, it's a Z520R, 2024, slam loaded. Y'all know that. I will not take a thing off of it. Same equipment that I use for the 2024 Elite Series. You can send me a message on my Facebook page or my Instagram, and let's chat. So it's also available. It's normally my boats are always pre-sold before the end of the season, and this one is not due to the buyer backing out. So that's why everybody says, why you get a deposit? Because I always get a deposit because I don't want the buyer to back out, right?
Right.
I used to sell boats. I know the old saying, money talks.
Yep, the other walk.
The other walk. So anyway, let's get on with the show. So I just got back.
Hey, can we before we get started? I'd like to. The bass fishing world lost a really good pioneer today in Mickey Bruce, and I'd like. He was a good friend of mine, and I think he qualified for 11 Bassmaster Classics and maybe 6 or 7 Forrest Wood Cups. He probably had he well over $1 million in career earnings. But
he was a hammer.
a good friend and played a lot of golf with him, fished with him a good bit too. But just like to just take just a short moment of silence and just, pray for John and Stacy, his two kids, and just, sending prayers to them during this time. He was just a great guy. So
I watched Mickey actually as a kid growing up, and probably some of the early TNN Bassmaster days. I saw him on there, and if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't tell you where it is, but he was throwing a spinnerbait in some buckbrush somewhere. Which there was a lot of that back in the day. A lot
of that.
And
there'll be a lot of that next year in the NPFL too.
Yeah, I'd say. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later too. But thoughts out to Mickey and his family. Man, he was truly a legend of the sport, and will be missed for sure. Oh, Mr. Jones, congrats. He said he finished second at Smith Lake Saturday. Called him on his Matt Arey signature rod. And weighed him in with his Angler's Choice weigh-in bag that I believe he won in a trivia giveaway on this show.
That's awesome.
Speaking of trivia giveaways, Todd.
Yeah.
You want to do the honors?
Well, whoever answers the trivia question right, the first one we see at the end of the show is going to win a Matt Arey signature tournament edition rod. And you get to pick which one you want of the 6 rods. You just message the page after the show, and you pick the one out of the 6 of Matt's tournament edition rods that you like, and we'll get it right out to you.
Yeah, so ask and you shall receive. That's
Correct.
what I was getting comments on last show.
Yeah.
And probably the show before that when I actually announced the launch of the rods. And I've gotten messages, y'all should give away one of your rods on the show. Well, guess what? We're going to give away one of my rods on the show. And this probably won't be the last time we do it. So
probably won't.
For especially for the loyal followers, the people that like to join in live, that have time to join in live, we greatly appreciate that. We greatly appreciate that anybody listens to the show. If you haven't liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, do that. You can actually watch us do these things in person. You can watch the reruns on there, and we're on all the podcast platforms, as you know. So you can always download us afterwards and listen to us while you're driving in the car. I got to where I don't even listen to music anymore. You asked me today. We were driving over here to the studio. You're like, you don't have your satellite radio
presets program.
Presets program. I'm like, and I said, I don't even listen to music anymore.
Yeah.
I'm driving 20 hours and I listen to 21-hour podcasts or talk on the phone for 4 and listen to 15 podcasts or something. And I listen to a lot of hunting podcasts and pickleball podcasts and a few fishing podcasts here and there too.
Coming over here this morning, I listened to a couple of podcasts, so I didn't even listen to any music on the way over here this morning either. So
there you go. And poor Todd, shout out to Todd. He came over and we shot a lot of really good content today for the Pulse brand, the new Pulse rods and things like that. But obviously, due to the hurricane, he had to take a detour because 40 still shut down, and he drove basically up and around the mountains to get to us, and it took him an extra hour and some change, roughly.
Hour and some change.
So not terrible, but
for sure,
we appreciate you being here, man. All right, I'm gonna talk real quick about what went down this past weekend, and then we're going to dive into kind of the hot topic tonight. You see the topic is FFS ? Because that is going to relate to Mr. Todd here in just a little bit, and we're going to let him dive into that. But we had the Toyota Bonus Bucks Owners Tournament this past weekend. Tyler, this was your first experience. Well, 3/4 experience at a Bonus Bucks Owners Tournament. So Tyler and his partner, buddy, friend of mine, both from here, and they ran into a little jam Saturday with some equipment problems, had to stay around Shelby, get it fixed, and I think you ran over and maybe the Great Outdoors fixed the trolling motor issue for you. You were able to get out of there and get down to the tournament just in time to eat dinner. You got to eat dinner.
Well, we did.
And you got to hear the registration speaking with Ike and the whole crew. But anyway, what did you think about your first experience at the Toyota Bonus Bucks Owners Tournament?
It was amazing how well everything was ran. Just everybody there was so nice and receiving. I mean, it's always nice when you can get a lot of people in the fishing community together anyway, but to see someone like Toyota, and then when it had Lisa, I think, was there with Bass.
Yeah, so Bassmaster every year, for those that don't know, Bassmaster actually takes care of all the kind of the tournament, the back end of the tournament meaning the weigh in. They bring their trailer out. They got bass staff there doing the blast off. So that is obviously extremely structured, very organized. And Toyota and Bass have always had a huge partnership.
Did you weigh in the amphitheater at Green Pond?
Yes, we did.
That's an amazing setting for somebody that has never been to Green Pond. And,
absolutely.
And that whole experience tied in with the bonus bucks too. It's a pretty cool deal to walk across the stage down there.
Yeah, it really is. Neil Paul, obviously, everybody, if you don't know Neil, you've been in the fishing industry, you've been living under a rock for years. But
he done an amazing job with this.
He's the best in the business. I mean, I tell everybody, I said, look, there's a lot of good chamber people out there across the country, I'm sure, that orchestrate these tournaments and get them to come to these cities and these cool destinations that we get to visit. But as far as Neil Paul is concerned, he's got the best facility, the best attitude, the most work ethic, and he does it right every time I've been there. Yeah. But yeah, so Tyler, you had a fun time, huh?
Yeah, like I said, I've never participated in something like that where everything was so well ran, everything was so welcoming, and I mean, if you hadn't done it and you got the opportunity to, I highly recommend it.
Yep.
I promise it won't be my last.
So, and here's the thing, like that Tyler didn't mention, like it's free, y'all. It's free. It's a free tournament. All right. What did we give away at the registration? We gave away multiple Bass Pro Shops gift cards. Yep. We also gave away a tracker,
four-wheeler,
off-road four-wheeler. All right. That was kind of the grand prize winner. But in the past, we've given away a 4Runner. We've given away a Tundra. And this is all at the registration dinner. This is just for the participants. We actually did the live drawing on site. The other thing is we pay 31 places. We pay $5,000 guarantee for first place. And everybody, I mean, I know so there's been 13 of them. This was the 13th annual. And I know some of the teams there have fished 9, 10, and 11 of them.
Wow.
That's how much they love it and they keep coming back.
That's awesome.
But shout out to the winners. The Prince family. Mm-hmm. They came in and had a good
Alex
bag.
And Trevor.
Yep, Alex and Trevor. They had a good bag of Hartwell bass and ended up taking home the W. But we had a great turnout, and everybody's just always so happy to be there. It's so good to see everybody year in and year out. And you can use so eligible vehicles. Fred said from a Tacoma to a 4Runner. We saw. So eligible vehicles: 4Runner, Tacoma, Tundra, Sequoia, 5 years old or newer, and just be registered for the Bonus Bucks program. So again, it's free to sign up. You can go to toyotabonusbucks.com and you can get signed up. And we don't know next year's destination for the owners tournament, but again, it's an awesome time. I know myself, Iconelli. Big Show Scroggins was there. G-Man was there. The girls with the new Bassmaster program. So we had Anastasia, Christine Fisher, Maggie Joe. They were all there. It was a great time. Daryl Gleason was there. We had James Caldemeyer. We had a bunch of Toyota guys there and repping the brand and hanging out and just talking fishing is what we all love to do. But appreciate everybody coming out to that event. We do thank you. And Toyota is a company that absolutely does more for our industry than any other vehicle manufacturer has even got close to doing. And I always encourage people to support those brands that take care of us. And I'm not just saying that because they're my sponsor. They take care of the entire industry. They sponsor multiple tours. They pay back thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. They support different state programs from a conservation standpoint to the Share Lunker program down in Texas that they've done in the past and things like that. But I always encourage people to take care of those companies that look after our industry. All right. Let's see. Let's give a quick shout out to Thrifty too, because him and Sprague, yeah, you just told me that.
Yeah, I just found out they won the team tournament today on OH Ivy.
Yeah, so if anybody's wondering where Thrift is, he's hiding out in Texas because he had to go down there for one of those team events.
Yeah,
he fished with his partner Jeff Sprague. I know they fished both of them together.
Yeah.
The first one I know they didn't have such a great showing, but then it's not bad when you come back to the next one and you pull out the dub. So congrats.
Correct.
To our partner in crime, Mr. Thrift, who just won that team event today. They were down on OH Ivy.
I'll sound like Brian when he talks to me. He says he calls me Mr. Todd, so I'll say congratulations, Mr. Brian.
Congratulations. You know he doesn't listen to this podcast anyway. He'll never hear this.
No, but I'm gonna text him and tell him. I said that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's the only way he'll know
send
that
me a laughy face. So.
Yeah, that's the only way that he'll know that you ever congratulate him, unless somebody told him that they heard it on Let's Talk Fish first.
Yeah.
All right, Yeah, so the Pulse rods, we've talked about them a little bit on the show. For anybody that's not familiar with our lineup, Todd is actually kind of the brainchild behind half the lineup. We've got 6 of my tournament edition rods. We've got 6 Pulse fish rods. We've got one actually named the AOY Special, which is after Todd's AOY a win on AOY win. Would you call it AOY win? I guess you call it AOY
guess,
win.
yeah.
AOY title on
yeah.
the NPFL circuit. And these rods have been a big part of both of our careers for the past 12 to 18 months. We started working on them about 2 years ago, but we've put a lot of fish and a lot of money in the boat with this lineup over the past 12 months. And if you have any questions about any of the rods, don't hesitate to shoot me a message, shoot Todd a message on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or send us a message, send Pulse Fish a message, things like that. Don't forget, these things have a limited lifetime warranty, all right? On top of that, the price point, we don't have a rod that's over $200. Our most expensive rod in the entire lineup is $189. All right, and at $189 for the rod that you're getting, I'll put it up against any rod in the industry. That's, even up to $250 and $300 rods for sure, 100%.
Absolutely.
And they're not like you pick up a rod sometimes and it says chatterbait rod or spinnerbait rod.
Yeah.
We've designed 12 rods that will absolutely fill the void for every single application out there right now. Minus maybe a rod to throw like a 10XD or a
That's
man's
what I
30
was about to
plus
say,
on.
a deep cranking
Yeah,
rod.
but that's like, unfortunately, I haven't called them that way in like 10 years.
Yeah,
It
me
seems to
neither.
be more and more a thing of the past.
Yeah.
But anyway, not saying we won't fill that void later. We probably will end up complementing this series with some of those rods later, the more niche stuff.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of rods in the lineup that are extremely versatile rods. What's your favorite rod in the Pulse Fish lineup? Just on the not my rods, but your six. Well, I say your six. The Pulse Fish
The
rods.
Pulse Fish, yeah. I think, they're all just, they're really great feeling rods when you put them in your hand, and that's what took us the longest from a design standpoint. Matt and I are real picky, and there were several trips over here to Shelby, and he's like, I want this trigger like this, and I want this grip, and I want these guides, these components, and we went back and forth, and I think, all of the rods are amazing rods, but if I have to personally pick one, it's the AOY Special on the Pulse Fish side, just because I had 4 to 6 of those blanks, those prototypes on my deck all year last year when I won the AOY. And it's such a versatile rod. You can do so much stuff with it. I was telling you earlier today, it was the rod that I was pitching that Mag 2 Zoom Worm at Santee when I finished second last year.
Yep.
But you can throw a spinnerbait with it. You can throw a top water. You can throw a bladed jig. You can do so much. You can throw a little finesse jig, a little football jig with it. There's so much you can do with it. You can do a Texas rig. It's
super versatile.
It's one that I have more of them probably on the deck than others. But we've got we shot a bunch of content today, as Matt said, and we've got a minnow rod because everybody likes to throw a minnow.
A minnow rod.
So,
that minnow rod's not just a minnow rod either. You could get.
You can throw a Ned rig and a drop shot and a whole bunch of different things. And like you said, we designed these 12 rods to fit all of the applications and not break the bank at the same time, because the Pulse Fish rods are $149, and like Matt said, his line is $189. So we're excited to get them out there in your hands. The cool thing about these is there's so much advancement in rod technology, and we're probably one of the first ones to bring a line of rods to market with this lighter, stronger, better technology.
Right.
At this moment, most of the rods weigh 3.5 to 4 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
I weighed several of them today. The heaviest one we have in our line is your composite rod, and it weighs right at 5 ounces. So.
And for a composite rod, that's super light.
Super light.
Yeah.
And, less fatigue after a long day of fishing. They just fit good in your hand. You put a reel in your hand, it's just like, man, this rod feels really good. So.
Yep. And I see a couple questions on some different things on here. But one, Joe G, tell me, you said if Toyota hadn't gone to the V6, he said he'd still be in a Yota. He said he's had them for 30 years. First of all, I'm sure Toyota's super thankful for all the support you get them over the years. But I'd like to know why, because what a lot of people don't understand is they immediately say, well, I had a V8, now they're going to V6. My V6 in my current TRD Pro, which is what I'm running, it's a 2023, pulling my boat all over the country with it, has more torque and more horsepower than my 5.7 V8 had in it, in the last 5.7 V8 that I had. That being said, it gets a little bit better fuel mileage, and it's got a lot more torque. I mean, this thing will get up and go. As far as pulling on the highway, it actually pulls better than my 5.7 V8 did. And 5.7 V8 did great, but one of the major improvements was the added torque and the added fuel improvements in fuel mileage too. So I challenge you that if you haven't test drove one or been behind maybe a buddy that's got one, and I drive the hybrid, the iForce Max hybrid. So I challenge you to go out and just hook a boat up to it and see what it'll do. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, to say the least. But Fred, absolutely. He wants to know the rods, can they stand up to us that live in tidal water, catch bigger fish? 100%. I've got multiple rods in my lineup. I've got the 7.6 Slackliner. I've got a 7.4 mag heavy. We've got a 7.3 that we call the check casher. That is a absolutely phenomenal rod for throwing bladed jigs and things like that on. Throwing blade baits, bladed jigs and spinner baits and things like that. So 100%. I'll go ahead, Todd.
I was just going to say, Fred, if you're fishing for, snook, redfish, trout, I don't know if you've ever tried a pulse jig, but it's kind of a secret cult. People win redfish
I know
tournaments.
some of our red fishing buddies get mad at you for saying this.
I know they will. We're making it with a bigger hook, and we'll have those on the website pretty soon too. We put a beefier mustad in it just for saltwater, because I've had people send me pictures of catching a couple of fish on them, and the hook hasn't held up as well. You go through a few, but we've beefed the hook up too. So
yeah, redfish can do some damage to a hook now.
Absolutely. You catch a 20-pound red, and you're going to do some damage. So
yeah, we Joe, he said it's not about the horsepower, it's about reliability. So the biggest thing right now, obviously reliability as technology improves. I can't, as far as the industry as a whole, I have seen let's just talk about outboard engines for a minute. I'm not going to specify any specific brands because they're all the same to me. As technology has improved, I think one thing that we see is longevity is still kind of yet to be proven, because technology is moving so fast and so quickly these days, especially even with the technology in our graphs and our trolling motors and our outboard motors and all the vehicles. But a lot of things that you're going to see moving forward, obviously, I think a lot of it has to do with the environment and the emission standards and things like that continue to get a little bit stricter and things like that. So every company's having to make adjustments in order to kind of attack that, so to speak.
Yeah.
What's that?
To get the performance.
To get the performance and still burn just as clean as everything else. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, absolutely. Due to some of the Toyota trucks, I know people that's got early 2000 models that have 500,000 miles on them, and it's the longevity. That's the same reliability that Toyota's always been known for, is what they practice and what they preach, and that's these engines are brand new, but I expect them to last just as long as the old ones. I have no doubt in my mind that they will. So
I had a 4Runner when I was in college, a 4-cylinder 4Runner, and I pulled a 19-foot Stratus boat over the mountain from Tennessee over to Lake Russell and Clark Hill and Hartwell like it was nothing. That, I guarantee you, there's so many of those 22 RE engines out there that you cannot kill that motor.
And there's Mr. Jones said his dad's Tundra has 450,000 miles on it. It's a 2019. That man does some driving now. But he said he services it regularly, which I hope everybody does on any vehicle that they're driving.
Hey, I see Tim Matt is on here tonight. He's part of our ambassador team, Pulsefish, and
he's got to be an awesome dude.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude.
He's got Matt in his name.
Exactly. Yeah, the second half.
The second half.
He's actually fishing the Opens EQs next year. He told me.
Cool.
He told me the other day that he's going to fish. I don't know. I think probably that the Eastern, the Northeast Division. I can't remember if that's Division 1 or 2, but. He's going to be fishing that next year. So best of luck to you, and we'll be supporting you along the way, too.
Yeah, we've got several people on here that I know are already using our rods, and I know Mr. Jones, he said he loves the grip on our rods. We got the split grip. One thing, Todd and I tested multiple grips to a couple things we were concerned about. Obviously, the weight of the rod due to the strain and stuff that you go through fishing 8, 10, 12 hours on the water. And when I'm fishing 7 or 8, 9 days in a row, that's a huge concern for me or Todd when he's on the road fishing tournaments. But he said the grips and things are super comfortable, and I'm glad to hear that, because that's one thing we put a lot of time and effort into to make sure that they fit your hands well. It's not it's comfortable. It's a soft grip. It's forgiving, and it's spaced right too. So I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying the rods, Joe. I don't have any. I mean, look, I'm with you, dude. When something comes out that's brand new, like I'm always gun shy, right? Like I'm always shy. Everybody is. Like everybody. It's take the Alabama rig for instance, which I wish I wasn't gun shy, but when I first saw it, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I ever seen. But no, in all honesty, I get it. Like you want to give it a couple years and kind of let them. Kind of let them roll around on the roads for a while and then make a decision based on that. I respect that 100%. But overall, I think in the next year or two, try to find a buddy that's got one and go hook the boat up to it and just drive it around and see what you think, because I think you'll be extremely surprised and impressed. But yeah, no, I 100% respect that. All right, Let's dive into what Todd Goad's plans are. So anybody that knows Todd Goad knows he won the Angler of the Year title in the NPFL. He's on his. Is this your third year? Was this your third year? And where are you at in the points this year right now?
I think I'm in 20th right now.
20th? Okay,
yeah.
so you're inside the championship cut.
Yep.
The championship, which is next March?
October. Next October.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
A little fuzzy on that. Next October, you'll be qualified to fish that. Most likely there's one event. You can't really fall out. How many guys is it?
40.
40,
yep.
yeah. I mean, you'd have to zero basically to fall out probably.
Yeah.
So you should probably be good on that. So he'll be making another championship, which he'll fish in October 2025. But
at Hartwell.
At Hartwell, that's right. Yeah, you like that lake a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, like that a little bit.
All right. You want to tell them what your plans are for 2025 then?
Yeah. So I am going to fish the NPFL again in 2025. I think when they announced it, they broke the internet, but there is going to be no forward-facing sonar allowed on that tour next year.
This was the FFS question mark title.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let Todd dive into that. Everybody already kind of knows the announcement, but I'm gonna let Todd dive into his thoughts on fishing, his decision to fish the league based on no FFS.
Yeah. We had an angler meeting in Saginaw earlier this summer, and it's been kicked around pretty much all earlier this year. They were debating whether to ban it or put some regulation around it. We got a chance to kind of speak our concerns at the tournament meeting there at Saginaw, and a lot of us. I was indifferent either way, but I was actually kind of the guy that just wanted some regulation around it as the technology was today, as far as, like the PGA Tour did when they limited, the golf ball can't go any further than it is right now, so people can't hit 400-yard drives. And my reasoning for it was, and I said this in the meeting, was me at my age, I'm 56 years old. I've been able to take advantage of the technology in bass fishing as it has come to me. Like I was around before GPS. I started bass fishing with two Lowrance 1240 in-dash flashers and a paper graph, So, and then GPS comes along, and then the 2D sonar, from the monochrome to the color graphs, and and I won a bunch of money. Me and my buddy Chris Baxter at Zoom, we won a ton of money fishing, catching spotted bass on 2D sonar, and then forward-facing sonar come out, and I've learned that technology. And last year, when I won the Angler of the Year, I really used it a lot in 3 of the 6 events. The schedule was perfect last year. It was kind of 50%, use it, 50% not. So. My rationale was I didn't want to ostracize a group of anglers coming up, like these young kids that are fishing the opens and other things. I didn't want them to not have a chance to fish our tour because they've grown up using FFS. I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that have been taught the right way to fish and learn the technology too. I mean, I know Emil is great with it. I know Paul Marks Jr., he's phenomenal. He can catch them anywhere. Fisher Anaya can catch them anywhere, But I just didn't want that group of anglers to not have a chance to be able to fish our tour and use the technology. Again, I was indifferent. I look at it another way now that they have banned it. I mean, I'm the old guy on tour, and I saw a bunch of comments. There was, when they announced it, all the keyboard warriors got out there, and I circled one. It was funny. It said, "This is going to be the tour of Depends," because the old man tour, and I don't see it that way. I've got a lot of experience fishing in a lot of states across the country over my 35 plus years of tournament fishing, and I feel like the schedule that we have next year is going to showcase a lot of shallow water fishing. It's going to be, we do have one tournament. It's in July. They haven't really said where we're going, but it's at the end of July, early August. I'm sure it's an up north tournament somewhere.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it's not in the southeast.
Even though we smashed them at Pickwick in July this year. That was a phenomenal tournament. But, I'm looking forward to getting back out there. I think it'll be a full field. They're wanting to have 130 anglers on the tour next year. I think it'll be a lot of fun. To kind of, go back to old school fishing. So I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, it looked like an interesting schedule. I know you and I talked earlier, there's not any info out there about payouts, entry fees, things like that yet.
Right.
Do you know, I know there were some guys that bailed probably because they eliminated FFS, and there might be some guys coming in because they eliminated FFS. You know any names that are leaving or names that are coming, vice versa? I know a name that's coming, but I'm not probably at liberty to say on this show because it's not my place to say it.
Yeah, it's not our place.
But if you know somebody that's already kind of said it, then you can reiterate it. But
no, he said it. He said it on a podcast, I believe.
Okay,
I think he said it on one of Duncan's podcasts.
Okay.
But
anybody that's leaving that's kind of been a staple over at the NPFL. I don't know that, so that's why I was asking.
I don't want to say any names because nobody has 100% said I'm out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
So
I got you.
One of my good friends that fishes the tour that probably lives the closest to me has been a huge forward-facing proponent, and I'm not so sure he won't be back next year. After the dust settled, and people took the emotion out of it. Like I said, I was indifferent either way. I love the technology. I love being able to see them out there. And just because you can see them out there don't mean you can make them bite.
Always.
And,
yeah.
But I've gotten really good with the technology. And I'll never forget the last day at Lanier last year when I caught 18 pounds in like the first 2 hours. And every one of them I saw out there 80, 90 feet out in front of me.
Yeah.
It was just an incredible day. So I'm good with it either way. I'm looking forward to one of the events is I get to sleep in my own bed next year. We go to Douglas. What a blessing to not have to travel.
Never been able to do that,
yeah,
Todd. I don't think. Not a tour level. I take that back. One time in an FLW tour event at Lake Norman about 12 years ago, I got to do it. And that's still that's still an hour drive for me to go to that Blythe Landing down there. So, but yeah, God, that ain't a better feeling than having a tour level event and get to stay at home.
And we're starting the year off at Santee. So, that'll hopefully it's not the Patrick Walters Invitational again. And P-Dub, if you're watching, I hope you heard that because I'm coming after you.
P-Dub.
He's
got kids and stuff now, man. He's getting old.
He's still in the deer woods. Don't let him fool
Is
you.
that where he's at?
Yeah, he's in the deer woods. But we start at Santee in March. That'll be a lot of fun and
big fish be caught.
Yeah.
Big biggins.
And then we're going to Douglas in May. And that end of May, depending on the weather and the water level, it can be a dirt deal. It can be, there's a lot of things that can happen there. It could be a really good tournament. Then we go to Eufaula, Oklahoma, the second, third week of June, I think is somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I really liked that place. It was, there's nothing in Eufaula, Oklahoma, but one main drag through the town and, gas
Is it that
stations.
small of a town?
It's a small town, but they are set up to host big events for bass fishing. Big parking lots, big place for weigh in. It's a really cool place to have a tournament. And I enjoyed it there last year. It fishes to some of my strengths that I like to do. And and then the other one that we know about is Logan Martin at the end of September. So, that's going to be a fun deal.
Yeah,
so.
I was talking to somebody somebody at the owners tournament said, they eliminated forward-facing sonar. They should have eliminated that tournament because they said if you hadn't been on Logan Martin in September the last few years, all he said it was good luck, and the guy was a local down there. But so that will be an interesting tournament to me. Like that makes me want to tune in even more, knowing that these guys that had FFS. Which I'm sure this guy, that's all he's relied on over the past year or two, which is fine. That's what's dominating tournaments, especially in September, right?
Yep.
But going back to several years ago, pre-FFS, attacking a southeastern place like Logan Martin or Lake Norman or Lake Hartwell or Lake Murray or whatever it may be in September, I fished a lot of Forest Wood Cups in late August and things like that, and it was an absolute grinder. It was an absolute shallow water, top water, cover water, being able to put a jig where others can't under docks, things like that. That's kind of the stuff that you're going to see come back into play. Now, the guy's not going to be sitting out there catching 20 fish a day probably, but it's more entertaining for me watching a guy not knowing where his next bite might exactly come from.
Correct.
So that's going to be a cool tournament to watch.
It will.
Now,
there's a lot of cool things that
and
play.
ain't going to be giant weights.
No,
we all know that. It's September in the South.
12 a day will be a top 10.
Right. And but that being said, I think that will be one of the more interesting tournaments to watch. When you know that these guys are going to a lake where FFS has absolutely dominated that specific time of year for the past 4 to 5 years, and you know they can't use it, then I'm tuning in. Like I'm tuning in to check it out. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And let me address this too, because and Skeeter's on here. I forgot to mention you, Santee's your home pond too, dude. So we'll.
Did you just crawl the gutter, Jeff?
Don't want to forget the old Skeeter Wayne over here. Something that I've been asked, because we can use the forward facing in pre-practice. Before the official cutoff, before the restricted access. So when we come back for official practice through the event, we can't use it.
So let me ask you as a competitor, because I know my answer. If you go for pre-practice, which is prior 30 days to official practice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, basically like ours.
Yeah.
Would you ever turn it on?
No.
Okay,
no,
good. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Turn it on.
Because anybody that goes out there and does that, I have to second guess what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, why even make that rule? Like, if you're on that body of water practicing for that event, it might as well be off limits. I think the reason they probably made that rule is because it's harder to regulate then. So it becomes, because what you told me was really, really interesting. So can we tell the viewers?
Yeah.
Because I said.
That's what I was getting to.
Okay. Well, so to lead into that, my question to Todd was, how are they? Okay. First I said, can they? Are y'all all allowed, because they're all going to have FFS transducers, because they're going to be fishing local tournaments, regional tournaments, other places, guiding, whatever they do during their non-NPFL tournament time. Are y'all still going to have all the FFS transducers, things like that on your boat? And he's like, yeah, we're allowed to have them. And I'm like, okay, so how are they going to regulate that? So tell them what you told me, because this is really cool.
Yeah, and this is what Brad had told me initially. I talked to him one day, and he was working on the rules packet for next year. And
your dad just asked, by the way, not to interrupt. He said, "Can he borrow your FFS next year?"
Yeah, I'll send you one, Dad.
Since you're not using it.
Oh, that's awesome. You can catch .96s just as easy with that at Allen Henry as you can dropping straight down on them still.
.96s?
Yeah. I mean, it's so bad at Allen Henry right now. That's a story for another show. But I mean, it takes 7 pounds to win with 5 spots.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it's terrible. But anyway.
You're never out of it, though.
You're never out of it. He's never out of it. But what Brad told me was they're going to they're probably going to issue all of us a transducer cover for the FFS, and it's going to be some kind of, I don't know if you'd call it lockout, tag out, but there's going to be some way to attach a serial number to the transducer cover. So, and they're going to check it. He said we would check each angler's transducer cover at least once during the event to make sure the seal hadn't been broken.
It hasn't been broken. Okay,
yeah,
very cool.
So they're working on how they're going to go about that. So
that's interesting. When you said that, I was like, okay, all right, that's cool. Yeah. That's a good way. That's
and I don't know how they're going to address this, but if people are going to use it in pre-practice, and when we show up for the first morning of official practice, you may have to go by a check-in at the host takeoff spot and have that serial number put on your transducer cover. If I don't know how all that's going to play out, but there will be some kind of cover with some kind of device to track it, to police that, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, they have to, right?
Yeah.
Scott, sorry, he said he's never had to fight commercials during a live. He said, we have no control over that. I can promise you that. I wish I did, but I don't, unfortunately. So that's up to YouTube, and I guess when they decide to run what, and part of the digital marketing world that we live in now. So it is what it is. But we all have to deal with it. I go and watch some of my favorite YouTube channels all the time, and there's commercials nonstop. So part of it's kind of how they pay for everything. So again, out of our control. All right, let's. So you kind of touched on the FFS. You told everybody you're fishing the NPFL next year. Where do you think, if you had to take a guess, where do you think that TBA tournament's going to be, the to be announced tournament? You set up north, probably.
My guess is,
where would you guess?
We've been to Saginaw 2 years in a row now, so I don't think it's a Saginaw.
Okay, yeah, because they would probably already had that under contract and locked it in.
It could be a Sandusky because they're largemouth. You can catch 15-pound largemouth in the bay at Sandusky, so that's a really cool fishery there too. But if I had to guess, it would probably either be Champlain or St. Lawrence.
Okay,
that would be my two guesses. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, both phenomenal fisheries, obviously. Now that being said, you got me thinking about this no FFS stuff. So Champlain, St. Lawrence. The good thing about both of those fisheries is you can catch them. You can catch them shallow, you can catch them power fishing, but the tournaments at Champlain have absolutely been dominated with FFS over the past couple of years.
Yes.
St. Lawrence, they have only if we were allowed to go to the lake. If you're in the river, different ball game, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see if one of those fall into y'all's schedule there and kind of see. I'd love to see a Champlain tournament with no FFS. Because I know, some of the stuff that would go down, and it would be a lot of fun to watch.
It would be.
So,
that's an awesome place to go.
Jonathan, I'm glad to hear that, man. Jonathan Carter said the Toyota event on Hartwell was top notch. I'm telling you, if you haven't been able to experience one of these events, you need to do it because it is top notch. We always have a great time. Always see a lot of new faces, but a lot of familiar faces each and every year. People keep coming back because they have such a good time. So I'm glad to hear that, Jonathan. Glad to hear that. All right, it's almost 10 till. We're not quite time for the trivia giveaway yet, but again, if you're just now tuning in, we are giving away. Ask and you shall receive. We are giving away one of my tournament edition Pulse Fish rods, brand new. All right, and you get to pick which rod that you want in the lineup. There's 6 rods to choose from. There's 5 casting rods, 1 spinning rod, super high quality rods. It's the only rod that I'm using on the Elite Series, along with the other Pulse Fish Series rods. I used them all year on the Elite Series. I'd say it was a pretty successful season overall.
And we'll talk a little bit about the last day of the Classic. You did a video. You were jacking them on one of those prototype rods. Remember, you was catching them on a jig. I think the last day.
No, it was a crankbait.
It was a crankbait.
Yeah, even better. Even better.
Yeah.
Because back up to Grand Lake this year, we have a rod in the lineup. It's very unique to the rest of the lineup. It's called the Unfair Advantage. All right, why do we call it the Unfair Advantage, Todd?
Because when you hook a fish, they don't get off.
They don't get off.
Yeah.
I kid y'all not. I was throwing this prototype in the Classic at Grand Lake this year. I had got onto a little bitty shallow cranking pattern, all right, and that was my primary deal throughout the tournament. I did jack them on a jig, but I did not catch the numbers like I caught cranking the last day. The wind had switched. I got on a little wind-blown pattern on the lower third of that lake at Grand, and I know for a fact that I caught over 50 fish, and this is not a lie. Now, I'm not saying one didn't slap at it and I didn't hook him. Every fish that I hooked and fought, within 5 or 6, 7 foot of him getting the bait, came into the boat that day. Every single bass, and we've got it recorded. I mean, I've got it on GoPro. But with that unfair advantage, and this is a composite rod that was designed for throwing a lipless, throwing a square bill. I was actually throwing a shallow running crankbait in that 6 to 7 foot range, this is not for big deep diving giant plugs or anything. But you could also get away with throwing like a bladed jig on it in open water and things like that. But the flex in this rod, how it loads up and how it keeps the fish pin is unmatched. And another thing on this composite model. And I'm saying this because if this is a rod that fills a lot of voids for people, because a lot of people don't own a rod like that's similar to this in their lineup. If whoever wins this, this giveaway tonight, you may want to take a peek at that unfair advantage. Again, you can go to pulsefish.com and look at all these rods. Mm-hmm. And better yet, we just shot a bunch of really cool content today. In the future, I don't know when they'll be loaded onto the website, but on our website, you'll be able to click on each rod and you'll see a video of Todd or myself kind of explaining what we use those rods for, what we recommend them for, and kind of their strengths and things like that, what we design them to do. But yeah, that unfair advantage, dude, that's that. I'm telling you. I told you that the problem is I wish I could use this rod for every single technique in the world, because I feel like when I hook one, I'm not going to lose it. But obviously, it doesn't match up well with flipping a half-ounce jig into a bush because of how parabolic it is. But man, it's an amazing rod.
You know how many fish I've lost on it this year?
How many?
One. And it was at Logan Martin in our first.
That's pretty good. I'll take that.
I'm a numbers guy, and they call me Rain Man because I don't forget stuff. I've lost one fish, and it was on GoPro. I actually posted it on my page at the Logan Martin, or after the Logan Martin event, because I had a 3.5, 3 3/4 pound spot hit my trap right at the boat.
Yeah.
And I tried to boat flip him. It's the only reason he come off. If I hadn't have been so stupid and just sat down in the passenger seat and bellied him in, I probably would have got the fish in, but I got in a hurry and he hit the gunnel and come off. That's the only fish I've lost on that rod this year.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. And it's lightweight too, like we talked about. I mean, it's just an amazing composite rod. I know there were, when composites first come out, that was the gripe about them, is they're clunky and they're heavy.
Yeah, that's right.
And this rod is neither of those. So we're really proud that we got that right.
Yeah, for sure. Skeeter asked, is it a good chatterbait rod? So, Skeeter, it is. In open water situations, I will go to something like the check casher, a 7.3 medium heavy, something a little stiffer. If I'm throwing it in grass or around cover where I need to pop it loose or I need a little bit more backbone, I'll go to like the 7.3 medium heavy. But it is fine for throwing a bladed jig up to no bigger than a half ounce. I wouldn't go any bigger than a half ounce. Great for throwing a 3/8 ounce. But in open water situations where you're not dealing with a lot of cover or things like that.
I threw this rod back home last winter, the prototype. We catch a lot of fish on a lipless in East Tennessee in the wintertime. I mean, we catch them in 45, 46 degree water.
Yeah.
And you throw it on 20-pound line, and the fish are in the dirt.
Yeah.
And
you're throwing it like on flats and stuff like that, right?
And, and it's a perfect opportunity for fish to get off in that type of environment when you're catching them that shallow. And we never lost any.
Yeah. And again, in open water situations with the traps, kind of same concept. It's not as good as ripping it through, it's not the best rod for ripping it through grass, but as far as open water is concerned, it's phenomenal. Yeah. All right. John, I guess I'll address that. My wife was on here. She made a comment or two earlier. She might not be on here. Otherwise, she'd have probably already responded. But he said, okay, Matt, I have to ask, how excited are your Swifties, meaning my 2 daughters and my wife, which are all
Aren't they going to a concert soon?
They've already been, man.
Oh, they already did that?
Yeah, they went to Taylor Swift concert down in Miami the weekend before that. Well, it was the weekend of the 20th.
Okay. I knew it was in the fall.
Yeah, had an absolute blast.
That's awesome.
Needless to say, they man, Emily was sending me videos from the concert of the girls, and my oldest one, when Taylor came out, she lost it. She 100% just lost it. Tyler's over here wondering why would that happen? But man, these young girls, dude, it's like next level crazy for Swifties, Swift.
You got 2 awesome daughters. If I wasn't an empty nester, my wife and I both, because our daughter is expecting the first week of January.
Oh, Paul.
And we're having another grandson. My wife wanted a granddaughter so bad. So if we weren't empty nesters, if you and Em turned your back, we'd probably snatch Rennie Pooh and take
over and take Rennie.
Yeah,
she'd enjoy it.
She's a pistol.
She'd love it. But yes, she said, "Are your Swifty?" John said, "Are your Swifties excited about the Chiefs being undefeated?" Well, that's obvious because the Chiefs and Swifties go hand in hand now. If nobody knew, and they are,
Right.
yeah, John, sorry, they are very excited about that because I'm sitting here just shaking my head, going, "Oh, I can only imagine what my house is going to look like around Super Bowl time."
Well, we're Chiefs and Cowboys fan. I've been a Cowboys fan since I was a kid, and if my mom's watching with my dad, Pat Mahomes, played at Texas Tech, and he's done so much for the city of Lubbock out in West Texas, and that's why we've rooted for the Chiefs for years. So
Yeah.
and the Cowboys are going to suck again this year. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, and I've said it from day one.
Well, they're cursed anyway, so when they get in the
cursed.
playoffs, they get beat.
Dak's a great guy, but they're never going to win a Super Bowl as long as he's a quarterback. And I've said that for the last 5 years.
I think everybody's seeing that now.
And I will stake my reputation on it.
Hey, man,
And
what about the Panthers?
what about them? I don't keep up with that crap.
They're the worst team in the NFL, by the way.
Maybe that's why.
Like we turn it on for like 3 seconds every weekend, and we're like, oh look, it's 38-6,
And they get first round picks every year because they suck every year, and they still
we
can't.
don't. No, we don't, because we trade them away.
We
We
won
trade
our
them
conference
away.
multiple times.
Yeah,
We've been
but
in Super Bowl
in
before.
what, 2005?
It's been a minute.
Long time
it's been
ago.
No, it wasn't that long. How long ago was it that we had an undefeated regular season record? It might have been 6 or 7 years ago. I don't
Yeah,
know.
at least.
But Scott said, "Bless your heart for the Cowboys fan."
Exactly.
Scott, I just mentioned that I was a Panthers fan. How about my heart?
Right.
All right. We let's see. Oh, about as hard as being a Cowboy fan as it is being an Auburn fan.
Yeah, and
Auburn's pretty rough. That's to be rough this year. Yeah.
and
2015. Has it been that long, Ryan? I didn't know. I didn't know it's been 9 years, man. Almost 10 years.
It looks like next week your giveaway is your boat.
My boat.
Yeah, that's what it says in the feed here.
Oh, I must have missed that comment.
Is that Matt
My
Jones?
bow or my boat?
Boat. Next week, Matt's giveaway is his Ranger.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I'll give it away for a crisp, clean check for. Message me and I'll tell you. How about that?
A trivia question you can never get right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. A trivia question where the answer does not exist. All right, it's time. It's 7:57. Todd is actually going to hit the road tonight and drive back around the mountain. I say around the mountain.
Yeah,
to get
around
back
it.
to his home in East Tennessee. But
Over the river and through the woods.
we got time. We got a couple minutes. Anything you got to add? We'll make them wait, make them sweat it out for another minute before we give away this rod.
No, we just hit 100 too. 100 live
Perfect.
people watching. So,
Perfect.
Yeah. And
So it's time.
yeah, I mean, just to give a little bit of a preview of Pulse Fish for next year, we're actually going to be at the East Tennessee show.
Yep, I'll be there. I'll
yep,
be there.
Matt'll
My
be-
first one in like 10 years.
Yep. And we're going to do the Noe Outdoor Show probably in Cartersville, Georgia. He's adding one in Greenville, South Carolina at the, I don't know if it's still the Bon Secours or Greenville Convention Center where the
Okay.
Classic weighed in.
Yeah.
Having it there, so we're probably going to be there too. We're definitely going to the Classic. So next year is going to be a super busy year for us at Pulse, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Come see us. And we filmed some content today too. Probably in the next week, you guys are going to see some stuff that is going to blow your mind in regards to what you guys have an opportunity to be a part of. So
Yep.
stay tuned, follow our pages, and you'll see.
Yeah, and I'll let you guys know and gals right before the East Tennessee Fishing Show. I'm sure we'll be on here doing a podcast. I'll let you know exactly what days that I'll be there. I know at least one full day, if not 2 full days, I'll 100% be there. Probably the busiest days, which are Saturday for sure, possibly Friday and or Sunday. So again, also I will be actually teaching at the Bass University in Anderson, South Carolina. They're hosting one in January in Anderson, South Carolina. I think you can go online and sign up for that now. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll be doing some seminars down there for the Bass U guys. Again, that'll be in Anderson, South Carolina sometime in January too.
What's your technique they want you to talk about this time?
We can't talk about the topics yet.
Oh, you can't?
No,
Oh, okay.
actually, we don't even have them sketched out yet.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're looking ahead and kind of starting to brainstorm. We got to figure out what everybody's doing, so we're all on different topics. I don't want to do the same thing that another pro's doing, obviously,
For sure.
and things like that. But all right, here we go, guys. It is time for the Let's Talk Fish trivia giveaway that we do every single show. It just so happens tonight that we have Mr. Todd Goat, owner of Pulse Fish, in the house, and we are giving away one of my tournament edition rods of your choice. All right, now, before anybody gets mad when we pick the winner, y'all know how this works. The first person that we see on our feed that has the correct answer, all right, is the winner. You will message our Facebook page with your shipping information, and Mr. Todd here will get that rod out to you ASAP. Now, little add-on here, because when you message our Facebook page, I'm talking about the Let's Talk Fish Facebook page, when you message that page with your shipping information, also let me know which rod you would like. Go to pulsefish.com, check out the lineup, and let me know which rod that you would like. I'll get that information over to Todd, and he'll ship it out to you as soon as possible. All right, you ready, Todd?
Yeah.
You watching the feed?
I'm watching the feed.
Do you know the answer?
I do.
Tyler, do you know the answer?
Got it.
All right, because Thrift's usually sitting there, and he's like, what was the answer again, huh? Where did he go, George? Where did he go?
Yeah. That's a pretty good Thrift impression.
Well, does it sound just like him?
Yeah.
Well, he's down there just counting his money right now. So he again, Thrift doesn't watch the show. I'm not worried about what I say about him on the show. He's never seen one before. So
correct. They're probably at Concho Park having a big steak tonight.
Yeah, they're celebrating. Yeah, he's eating some of that A5 somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
Did I say it right, Tyler? A5. You know all about that A5, don't you?
A5 Wagyu.
Wagyu. What's a Wagyu?
A5 Wagyu steak.
Wagyu? Yeah. Hey, guess where? My wife and I, we just had our 18th anniversary yesterday. And obviously, with our schedule over the past few days, we hadn't been able to really celebrate. But we're going to a little steakhouse in Charlotte called Beef and Bottle.
Oh.
No, you been there?
No. I've heard of it.
Jeff, you been there? You ever been to Beef and Bottle in Charlotte? He can't even hear me. He's in there yakking.
So my wife and I are actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary 7 years later. We're going to Costa Rica.
Oh, you told me that, yeah.
Because
better late than never.
We ran the roads with our youngest daughter, softball all over the country, and never really took time for a vacation like that. And we are going to have a wonderful vacation.
Like I said, better late than never.
We're renewing our vows too, because my wife, our anniversary is March the 19th. And she said, you're gone fishing somewhere every year.
You know your vows never expire, right?
They don't, yes. But we're renewing them. And it's going to be at a time when we're not fishing.
No, so, I just had to say that.
I know.
I actually watch Ike and Becky. They do that every year. Yeah. Like every single year. But it's kind of cool because I think it's more or less an excuse to go on a really cool trip somewhere and have like a little destination get together, and renew the vows. But anyway.
We're looking forward to unplugging and just having a really good time.
Yeah, that's right. So, we're going to go to Beef and Bottle for a little anniversary dinner. But what I was getting at is anybody that lives in the Carolinas, like that is a hidden gem. To me, it's the best steakhouse I've ever been to anywhere in the Carolinas.
Wow!
And they got a lot of good ones.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, and it's in Charlotte, but it's a little hidden gem, and I'm just telling you now. Break out the wallet before you go, but I'm telling you, it's when we talk about that A5 Wagyu, it made me think about it. So.
Y'all go on the pulsefish.com site and buy a few rods so
I can afford my steak.
Matt can afford his steak.
My wife's steak. Hall's Chop House. You're right, Travis. Hall's Chop House is in my top 3. Like it's amazing too. Hall's the closest one to here. I think is Greenville, South Carolina, and I've been to it. But Hall's is amazing. All right, here we go. Trivia question time.
I'm watching.
Again, the winner, first one that comes across our feed, gets a brand new Matt Arey Tournament Edition rod of your choice. The winner messages us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, LTF Facebook page. Make sure you tell us what rod you want in that lineup along with, all right, your shipping information. All right, here we go. I need to know in pounds and ounces what it took to win the Toyota Owners Tournament this past weekend at Lake Hartwell. I need to know the exact weight in pounds and ounces that it took to win.
Winner.
Goodness gracious alive.
Travis Blanton.
Wait, do you know this guy, Tyler?
No.
All right, because that was wicked fast.
He probably fished it.
Well, I wouldn't give it to the guy who won the tournament, and that's not him. So, Wow, Travis Blanton, you absolutely demolished the competition, which I see like
Buddy was all around it. You fished with Buddy, didn't you?
But Buddy fished the tournament, and he got it wrong. All right, Travis Blanton and Erica Blanton guessed the same thing. This seems awfully fishy.
It's a little bit, a little askewed there.
Yeah, they're I wonder if they're related. You think Erica and Travis, are y'all related? But anyway, Travis, congratulations. Send us your shipping information to the Let's Talk Fish Facebook page. Message us there, and go ahead and tell us exactly what rod you want.
Em said too easy of a question.
When you get this thing, and it's the most awesome thing you've ever put in your hands, all right, you're going to want to buy some more. So be sure to go to pulsefish.com, check out the full lineup, check out the details on each and every rod, and shoot me a message. I'm serious, y'all. Shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook if you got any questions. Shoot Todd a message on his Instagram or Facebook if you got any questions. But all these rods have been they have really been tested. You know how people say, well, we tested this and we tested that. No, they have absolutely been put through the gauntlet, and they've passed the test. They've caught a lot of fish, put a lot of dollars in our boats over the past year and a half.
They have.
And, man, Tyler's using them now. What do you think, Tyler?
Love them. It's the lightest, most comfortable rod that I've ever used since I've been fishing.
And we don't pay him to say that, believe it or not.
No.
Yeah.
No, but caught a bunch of smallmouth on them today. So
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah, I had a good day. Tyler slipped up to Lake James and had a good day. Buddy, that's what you get for not paying attention, brother. He said, I knew 17 pounds won. And he said, I don't pay attention to the exact, because I always say, Buddy will fish a tournament and he'll leave it. And I'll say, hey, what won the tournament? I don't know. 16 pounds, and it'll be like 19.2. Or
Well,
I mean, the only reason he knew this was 17 is because he was there when they probably announced it. So
Well, neither does Skeeter, because you said I need the weight in pounds and ounces, and old Podna over there put a solid 1597 in. So I got to throw
97 ounces.
I got to throw you some shade there, Skeeter.
Yeah, 1597.
What is 97
Not
ounces,
gonna work.
Bri?
Yeah, that's not going to work. So, all right, y'all, we appreciate you. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to let Todd go. He's got to drive all the way back around the mountain to get back to East Tennessee. Thanks for coming, though, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Enjoyed spending the day with you and Jeff and Tyler, and it's been great.
Yeah, got a lot of good things done. And
Yep.
guys, gals, again, go to pulsefish.com, check them out. This won't be the last giveaway. It's not the first giveaway we've done through Pulsefish. Won't be the last giveaway. But we appreciate all the support and appreciate y'all tuning in. Don't forget, subscribe, like to our YouTube channel. And all these shows are sent over to our podcast platforms, too. So y'all check them out if you hadn't already. A lot of them are archived there for your viewing. Well, can't go fishing? What, Todd? You pointing at me? You got something to say?
I was about to say the same thing, but if we can't go fishing, we're going to talk fish.
We're going to sit right here and talk fish. See y'all next time.